Hey everyone, my name's Ali and welcome back to my channel, Mindful Living. In today's video, I'll be sharing a full garden update for July, showing how all my container plants have been growing so far this season. If you're new here, I'm located in Canada in Growing Zone 3, and every year I focus on growing as much of my own food as I can in containers. Things have changed a lot since my last garden tour in June. I've had some wins and a few misses, so let's go ahead and get started with the tour. Okay, so first we're getting started with tomatoes, and I'm growing 3 different types of determinate varieties of tomatoes, which are smaller, more compact plants that grow best in containers. I have 2 bush steak tomatoes, which are larger, more meaty tomatoes like a beefsteak, and these already have a few tomatoes on them. And with my tomatoes this year, I've also companion planted 2 basil plants. Basil is a great companion plant for tomatoes as it can deter pests like tomato hornworms, aphids, and whiteflies, along with potentially improving the flavor of your tomato harvest. Next to the bush steak tomatoes there, I have a Regina tomato growing. I've grown this in my container garden for several years now, and it produces lots of small to medium-sized tomatoes. Moving on to peppers, I have 8 pepper plants in my container garden this year, and I'm growing both sweet and spicy varieties. First up, I have 2 mini bell peppers. These are short and stocky plants that only grow to about 16 inches tall, and they'll produce small 2-inch fruits that will vary in color. Next, I have a hot banana pepper. This is growing really well. I got this one as a transplant rather than starting it from seed, so it's a little further along than my other pepper plants, and it already has lots of hot peppers growing on it. These are a personal favorite of mine, as every year I look forward to making pickled banana peppers with my harvest. Next to my hot banana pepper, I have another hot pepper, which is a jalapeno. This is doing really well, and it already has some peppers on it as well. Next up, I have 2 yellow bell peppers. These were purchased as a transplant as well, and they're actually gotten really bushy. There's lots of little tiny peppers growing and flowers, so I'm really excited to see how many peppers I'm gonna get off of these 2 plants. Definitely one of the bushiest bell peppers I've ever grown. And my last 2 pepper plants here are the orange juice sweet variety. So these plants will produce lots of small sweet peppers, which will turn a bright orange color as they ripen, and they are known and loved for their deliciously sweet flavor. Moving on to cucumbers, I'm growing 2 different types of bush cucumbers in my container garden. The first one is a pickle bush variety. These plants are known for their compact bush-like growth habit, and the cucumbers grow about 4 inches long, which makes them perfect for pickling. I'm also growing a Bush Champion cucumber. I'm using my trellis here to help it grow up vertically, and I've already harvested 1 really large cuke off of this. Bush Champion cucumbers usually reach about 10 to 12 inches long. Between the 2, I have to say the Bush Champion one is growing a lot better, which is interesting because they're grown in the same container with the same amount of sunlight and water. Next up is my zucchini plant. This is a Gold Rush variety of zucchini. This has grown a lot over the last month and has really started to sprawl out in the container. Gold Rush zucchini is a hybrid variety that is known for its high yields and compact bushy growth habit. It produces 6 to 8 inch long zucchinis that have a vibrant golden yellow skin and a creamy white flesh. I've already started harvesting off this plant. I like to harvest my zucchinis before they get too large, as when they are left too long on the plant, they will grow larger and become more tough and seedy. Also, regular harvest encourages your plant to grow and produce more fruit. In my hanging baskets, I have several ever-bearing strawberry plants growing. These have not been doing so well, which is somewhat my mistake because I didn't realize that these new planters I bought had no drainage holes. We got lots of heavy rain, and without proper drainage, the plants really suffered from overwatering. Once I realized they were not draining, I went ahead and drilled a few drainage holes in the bottom, and the plants are starting to bounce back now, but they have been slow growing. Moving on to potatoes, my fingerling potatoes have been growing really well. The vines are fairly tall and several clusters of flowers have started to appear. This is my first time growing potatoes in containers, but from my research, flowering indicates that the plant is maturing and tubers are developing underground. Also, flowering is a good sign that the plant is healthy and growing well, so I'm really excited to see how many potatoes I end up harvesting. Next, I'm showing an empty planter here which I've sowed several green bean seeds. I always like to direct sow beans as they are more sensitive to transplanting, but unfortunately I'm having a hard time getting these to germinate with all the rain we've been having. Several seeds have actually rotted in the soil since it was too moist, so I've sowed some more seeds in the container and fingers crossed they finally germinate and start growing soon. In front of the beans, I have my herb planter, which has parsley, oregano, rosemary, and thyme growing. Previously, I had this in the partial shade area of my garden, and again, with all the rain, the plants were not doing so well, so I went ahead and moved them to a spot that receives more hours of sunlight. Okay, next on the tour, I'm moving to the patio area of my garden. This area receives partial sun, so only about 4 to 5 hours daily in the morning time, followed by afternoon shade. First up, I have my leeks. These were previously along the fence in the spring, but as the temperatures began to rise, I moved them into partial sun. This variety of leeks is called Tadorna, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and they have gotten really large, the stalks are getting a lot thicker, and they are almost ready to be harvested. Another plant I moved into partial sun is my Brussels sprouts. I've been growing these since the springtime, and the sprouts are just starting to form on the plant now. Brussels sprouts do prefer cooler temperatures, so next year I would definitely start these earlier in the season. Next, I'm showing my chives and green onions. I've been harvesting off these a lot, and they've been growing great in these small pots. Beside those, I have some dwarf green curled kale, which I've already harvested some of the larger leaves of, followed by Swiss chard. This is a rhubarb variety of Swiss chard, and it was growing really well, but after a few large downpours, the leaves are starting to turn this red color, especially on the one plant. I've never experienced this before, so let me know if this has also happened to you with your Swiss chard plants and what you did about it. I'm thinking of harvesting all the leaves and then letting the plants grow back to see what happens. In my long, shallow planter that previously had all my spring lettuces and leafy greens, I've harvested all of those and replanted some cherry bell radishes, along with a few more heads of lettuce, which are still quite small. In the other long planter next to it, I still have some beets growing, which is a Ruby Queen variety. These have definitely been a miss this year in the garden, as I find they are really slow to grow. I recently fertilized them, and I've been moving the container to try and give the plants some more sunlight to see if that will help. And lastly, I have another basil plant growing, so I have 3 basil plants in total, and I'm really looking forward to harvesting all my basil and making some homemade pesto. Well, that's it for this video. I hope if you guys enjoyed seeing the progress of my plants throughout the month of July, that you'll leave me a like, leave me a comment down below, and let me know how your garden is growing this year as well. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my future uploads. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.